Back
3 years ago.
on Plugged In with your host, Lewis Johnson. We are joined today by some of my associates, my friends, if you will. To my far left, I have the wonderful Miss Charvette Mitchell. How are you doing?
I am wonderful. I'm excited to be here on Plugged In.
Yes.
Right here in the capital city of Richmond.
Yes, ma'am. So good to have you. And to my exact left, my brother,
My man.
funny man himself, Mr. Chris Daniel. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, brother. I am doing well. Thank you so much again for inviting me.
Charvette, good to see you.
Good to see you. All right.
It's a family reunion. And we're here today, and we're going to talk about some relationships. Uh-oh. Before we get into that, I'm going to let you just kind of meet some of my partners here today. Charvette, can you just give us a little bit about yourself and what's going on in your world?
Sure. I'm Charvette Mitchell, and I host the Charvette Mitchell radio show, which airs online. Yes, you can see it online. You can hear it online at charvette.com every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And you know what, Lewis? We always talk about relationships because everybody thinks they have an opinion about a relationship.
Yes. Everybody got something to say
Yes.
about relationships. My brother, what's going on in your world? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I just filmed the third season of Top Model. I'm America's Next Top Model. I came in semifinalist.
You did what?
I was on Top Model.
He slid that in. He slid that in.
Had to catch up with
Immediately,
it.
like, what? I got to
Right.
catch it real quick off the draw. Okay. All right.
But you know, God's doing good things for us.
God's
big
doing
things
some
for
very
us.
good things. Relationships. People want to talk about relationships. People want to know about relationships. It's a subject that we just can't get enough of. We got books on relationships. We've got movies on relationships. We've got television shows geared to relationships. Why is it that relationships carry so much weight in our world today?
Well, I would say that everyone has an opinion about a relationship. You have either been in a relationship, you are going through a relationship, you are out of a relationship, you want to be in a relationship.
Right.
Everyone, women, men, 16-year-old to 75-year-old, everyone has had some type of experience with a relationship.
Right.
So therefore, everyone has an opinion.
That's true.
Now, women, we do like to talk more than men do about relationships, but all men do have an opinion, if you ask
Oh,
them.
we've got some opinions, don't we, sir?
I would say that most women think men are wrong on their opinion.
Oh,
of
my
relationships.
goodness.
You know,
Well.
there's really no example that you can put out there to say this is the perfect relationship, because every
Right.
relationship takes work. Every relationship has rights and wrongs, ups and downs, and most time these women, and I'm not saying anything about y'all women, but most of the time these women, they're critical in their relationships because if it doesn't go a certain way,
Right.
then they're ready to exit out and enter in something else. It's almost like a mathematic equation, you know.
Okay.
You see your fractions or whatever. You behave yourself and do what I say, I keep you around. If not,
my
I'm going
goodness.
to
Oh, my
delete
goodness.
and I'm going to copy and paste somebody else in
Oh,
your
my-
situation.
Wow.
Okay, we're getting deep already. Wait a minute. We're getting deep already.
The truth. I'm an expert, I tell you.
I'll tell you so.
An expert.
He-
What
he's
makes
an
you an expert?
Because I just said expert. You know.
So Charvette, let's just begin with you. Where should someone begin? They're single, they're saved, they're seeking, they want a Boaz.
Wow.
Where should they start?
And we're talking about women and men?
We're talking about women and men.
Okay. I think you might need to patent that. SSS, triple S,
Triple
single,
S,
saved,
single,
and
saved, and
seeking.
It's mine. You heard it here. On Plugged In.
All plugged in. Well, you know
A lot
what?
of S's.
A lot of S's. I think that there are a lot of books, a lot of articles, you know, go to the grocery store, you know, go to church, go, you know, so there's a list of places out there you can research on the internet that people recommend that you go to if you're seeking. It's funny because I was talking to someone the other day and they said, girl, if you want a man, you need to go to Home Depot and you need to go to Lowe's on a Saturday morning. And
Home Depot?
Home Depot
Oh,
and
my
Lowe's
goodness.
on a Saturday morning.
Saturday morning.
That's where the men are, and you know they have a house. So, you know, so we could talk about places, but I really think that the person should start with themselves.
Okay.
Because a lot of it is a mentality.
That's true.
And I think you have to realize and think that there are opportunities everywhere.
Okay.
There are opportunities, resources all around you.
All around you.
And I think people get stuck usually because like, I just go to work, I just go to church. If they go to church, I go do one or two other things. Ain't nobody, ain't no men out here, ain't no women out here. But what can you shift your mentality? So start with you first
Start with
and
you first.
broadening that. There are many opportunities all around you.
But see, people, and friends are the worst type of people to tell you where to meet people because they'll tell you where they met their mate
Right.
or whatever. I mean, go to church. That's crazy. Go to the gym. If you meet somebody at the gym, you got problems because
Really?
yeah, because the man already seen you, already working, and so that's all his thinking on his mind is working out.
Okay.
So the best place I would say to meet somebody is just in everyday situations, everyday passing. The best place I would say if you're single, men, listen to what I'm saying. I've got a revelation. Go to the bank.
The bank.
Stand in line and look at the person in front of you. If it's a female in front of you, look how much money she's putting in the bank. That's your root right there. Come on, because you know she's financially stable and situated.
Wait a minute now.
Hey, and I'm back, y'all. See, that was revelation.
So we got Home Depot. If you heard this, you heard it right here on Plugged In. Home Depot for the ladies if you're looking for a man. And Brother Chris said the bank if you're looking for a female. Wow, these are very eye-opening answers. So from a married perspective,
Yeah.
can you give some insight if somebody's seeking a mate now that you're married? What can you tell somebody who's looking for a mate?
Well, really, and I said I was an expert before, but I'm just learning like everybody else. I've been married now for 13 years, and every year is an experience. Every day is an experience, is a learning experience on how to build relationship. I think the first key thing, the first key ingredient is to be open and honest in your conversation. Conversation is so key and openness is so key because you want to know what exactly is happening, going on in their lives so you can relieve their stress, what exactly is going on that you need to address. If there are situations you have a conversation and you don't address the issues, then they get moved back, and they become serious situations, that you don't have to deal with, right then, but you're going to have to deal with down the road. Right. So I would say open, honest communication is the key to any relationship. They tell you, hey, date your wife, take your wife out, make sure you keep the spark kindled. But if you don't have good conversation in your relationship, you're cutting your feet at the legs.
That's a very good point you're bringing out because as Charvette, you alluded to, the female gender likes to communicate. They like to talk
all the time.
And so when the man is not holding up his end of the bargain and maybe not as conversational, and then she may think something is wrong.
Exactly.
When in essence that is nothing wrong. It's just that we don't talk as much.
Exactly.
And so we got to be able to say something what we feel maybe in a sentence or two, whereas a female may want to talk about it all day. So,
exactly.
There's a little difference. But men, you have to understand that women like to conversate. You have to be there to help them conversate. You have to see what it is they're thinking, what it is they're feeling. And you don't have to chime in all the time. Just be a good listener, I'm finding, is a great way to be successful in a relationship. So in the realm of godliness, in the realm of the church, in the realm of spirituality,
Lord,
there's some misconceptions as it relates to dating because we want to keep it, of course, God's way. We don't want to step outside of the way that God would have us to go. So what misconceptions have come about with dating that may be roadblocks or challenges to dating in today's church?
Wow, misconceptions. I think that some people don't believe in dating. They say you can't find the word dating in the Bible. You can't find the word courting in the Bible. I've heard people say this. So if we want to talk about misconceptions, so some people feel like they don't get to know you. That get to know you stage is like gone because it's like, the Lord told me that's my husband, or the Lord told me that's my wife, and and then it's very holy, but it's not realistic. It's not holistic because you don't really get to know the person. Because to save people doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have a healthy, happy relationship. You still have to be compatible, and so I think that's one misconception. If he's just saved or she's just saved, that's it. But
there's more to that because you can be unequally yoked.
That's what it is.
And still be saved.
Exactly. Right? Because you got some women who are in the church and their spouses or their prospective spouses aren't in church, and then they're unequally yoked in their lives, but they try to make excuses as to why that person should be equally yoked when their life is unequally yoked. So what is the misconception here? You're telling me to do something that you yourself aren't willing to do, or are you supposed to do everything in concordance to what the word believes, but you're not applying that to your own relationship? Wow. I can go in my house and say I'm the head of the household all day long, but the Bible says, husband, love your wives as Christ loved the church. Right. But what you supposed to do when she getting on your nerves and she does something, to get on my
You're supposed to love her.
She quick to tell me I'm getting on her nerves. They don't have that in the
I'm the head of this
house.
I'm the head of this
I can walk in there and say I'm the head of the house all I want to.
It doesn't matter.
And it doesn't matter because we're at a place. Whereas if we're not transparent to those who are seeking to be married,
Right.
then we can never prepare them for the realness of a relationship, of a long-lasting relationship. I believe the people stayed married back, in the early 40s out of necessity and out of the way the times were, not because it was love. I mean, I saw my grandma got my granddaddy nerves plenty of times, but they stayed married for 40 years. Wow. So how did they make it? Out of necessity. How do we make it today? Communication is different.
This is some very, very invigorating information. You're tuned in to Plugged In, and I'm your host, Lewis Johnson. So as we talk about relationships, Charvette, what would be your ideal first date? You're single, you're saved, you're seeking, and what would be, just for the young man, just kind of help them understand what a good first date would be?
Roses. Well, I am very classic. I'm a classic person. So I think movie and a dinner is, we don't have to go skydiving, we don't have to go rock climbing, we don't have to go bungee jumping, I just want to do dinner and a movie. That way, if the person is not, you're not feeling the person, at least you can talk about the movie. You can't talk about anything else. I like action. I like the surround sound. I like the movie experience.
If you take you on a romantic movie,
any type of movie, dinner. That I'm just classic.
But the wrong movie could mess up the date.
Exactly.
Well, I don't want to see a horror movie.
Well, get right. We don't want to see any horror movies.
Unless it's during the day. But
Don't see Madea. A Tyler Perry movie. Lord have mercy.
So that's just me.
Okay. So just keep it classic, keep it simple.
Yeah, that's
nice
just
movie,
me.
a nice dinner, or it doesn't matter what order it's in. But
yeah, I don't think you have to spend like a whole lot of energy. First, we're talking about first dates. So you're just getting to know the person. Now, if you're in a relationship, you may want to do some other things, but I think for the first date, don't over-engineer it.
So if somebody is proposing a dating experience and they're saying, well, I want to go out with you, but I want you to pay this first date. What is your reaction to that type of situation?
So if they come out and say, I want to take you on a date. I want you to pay
for this date and I'll pay for the next one.
On the first one, absolutely not. That's an absolute no. That's an absolute no because men.
Why?
That's a cue because men are providers. Men are innate providers. Can I finish my comment?
Sometimes they get paid bi-weekly.
Men are, and if they get paid bi-weekly, they need to wait until the week. They need to wait until the week they have money. Men are providers. Men are innate providers.
Yes.
And so men like to pay for your meal. That's a part of that providing. So if he comes to me the first date and says, can you got me, can you cover me? That's a clue of what type of person
What if you do one of them 2 for $20 type meals?
I'm fine with that.
You done with
I'm fine because it's not the amount. I'm not, don't take me to McDonald's.
Wait a minute, we can't go to McDonald's?
Why we can't go to Subway?
No, but you know what? Wait a minute. The basketball, well, wait a minute. Basketball-wise, anyone that watches that, Ocho Cinco took Evelyn to McDonald's for their first date. But he's a multimillionaire, so he could have been testing her out.
Okay.
But the average brother, McDonald's, Burger King, no, don't do that. Because there's so many options, there's so many 2 for $20. You don't have to do that. But the paying, I think the gentleman should pay on the first date. Dutch, I'm up in the air about. I think if you discuss it, because that way there's no expectation on me, there's no expectation on you. If you want to do Dutch, I think I'm okay with that if it's discussed up front. Don't get to dinner and be like, you got yours?
But wait a minute. What if say a man approaches you on a first date, right, and wants to take you to church?
As a first date?
As a first date. Say he wants to take you to a conference, a Woman Thou Art Loose conference or something like that. Or one of them money coming.
Fly somewhere?
No, I'm just saying, he's just very spiritual, brother. You're super spiritual. You know what I'm saying? They say, baby, let's go to church.
You want to go to church
on your first date.
Oh, my goodness.
I don't think that's a dating experience. I think that's somewhere you can go, and I would be open to going to a church event. But I think you have to be holistic. Church is not your we are the church. Yeah. Church is not your life. Church is a place.
True.
So you have to be balanced because when you leave church, you still have to live. So how do I get to know you
outside of church?
Outside of church. And a lot of times the church you is
not
different
the real you.
than the real
I
you.
mean, but see, the man could be trying to impress it, and it could be somebody could be watching who's not in church, and so they could say, okay, well, if a man take me to church, that might be a good idea. He might be a good brother. But then, like you say, he just might be Mr. Sanctified in church, and then come out and want to go to the Martini Kitchen. Well, let's go to Martini Kitchen for some communion. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna have communion at the kitchen. So.
Right. So yeah, going to a church function I think is fine. I think you probably need to follow up because you're not going to be able to communicate. You can't sit in church and talk. So how are you getting to know the person?
Right, because you're getting the word.
Exactly.
Wow, this is awesome stuff here. Don't go anywhere. We're going to cut to a video and we're going to be right back. We're going to ask the question, how do you keep the flame going in your marriage? If you've cut a covenant with a woman or a man, how do you keep the flame in that marriage situation? And then what are white flags that come up and that just start that raise all types of alarms in the dating experience?
I'm ready for that.
We're going to talk about that as well. So we'll be right back on Plugged In. Situation. We're back on Plugged In. I'm your host, Lewis Johnson, and I have Ms. Charvette Mitchell and Mr. Chris Daniel. And we are talking about relationships. Now, what is what's a white flag? If something comes up while you're dating and it just raises up all the alarms like, don't proceed any further with this person. What are some of the white flags that you might encounter while in the dating experience?
Well, I'll jump in. Okay. Consistency. Consistency. If his communication is inconsistent with you, if his actions are inconsistent with you, that is a white flag, a red flag, a black flag.
So he lying? Is he lying?
Well, all I said was inconsistent because sometimes people don't lie. Sometimes people give you 75% of the truth of what went on, and they leave off the 25. So inconsistency.
The truth shall make you free.
Yes. So I think the key is if he calls, Monday through Thursday, and then he disappears Friday through the next Tuesday, and then he's back on calling and texting.
Busy doing something, working.
Inconsistent action. You know what? A friend of mine.
Inconsistency.
A friend of mine told me that you will never have to guess if a guy is interested in you. You'll never have to guess.
True.
So the inconsistency is a note, a white flag.
So if he's not calling, or if he's calling on one day but not another day,
right? It's a flag.
Let me speak to my sisters real quick. Sisters, if the man is going out on a date with you and he stops at one of those cash for you places to pay his loan, that's a right flag for you because he's financially unstable. He has a payday loan.
Oh my
If
goodness.
you have to pay a payday loan, don't date my daughter, please. Okay? Don't even come to my door. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna ask you when your due date is and how much interest you're paying. No,
But white flags.
seriously, there are issues. If you can't, and I always come back to communication because that's the big thing with me. I need to know what's on your mind. Talk to me. Tell me what's wrong.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to guess and I don't want to assume. So a white flag for me would be me assuming something that is totally opposite than the truth. I'm sitting here believing finances. I'm sitting here believing there's money in the bank to take care of this when the money has been gone because you took care of that. There's no communication. So a white flag comes up and say, wait a minute, even when you're married, you start saying, okay, well, am I getting a little lax in my trust? Am I getting a little lax in my confidence with this person? Because you start to grow apart. And those white flags start showing up because you got problems in you. There's trouble. Trouble somewhere. There's always going to be white flags regardless of what you do, whether you're in a 50-year, 20-year, or whether you're just in a single 1-year marriage. But you have to realize and recognize and address those issues before they become major cracks in your foundation.
Major issues. So that's a good segue. So if you're in a marriage situation and you want to keep the flame kind of going, do you stop dating? When you get married, when you say I do you stop dating? So
no, you can't. You can't. I put it like this: the marriage flame. You have to keep you some wood in your shed, brothers.
All right.
Because trust me, the more you grow with a person, the more you stay with a person. Every day you see a person, they're going to see your good sides, your bad sides, your positives and your negatives. And so you have to build upon the positives. You have to work at the positive aspects of your marriage to not really keep it happy, but keep it peaceful. I know how to keep it peaceful in my house. Some days I just don't talk. I don't say anything. I listen.
Just being quiet keeps
No. I don't respond. I just listen. You know what I'm saying? A woman tell you to do something, you ain't gonna say no. You ain't gonna say maybe.
Do it yourself.
You can do it yourself. No, I ain't gonna say that.
Don't tell me
you better not say that. No, you can do it yourself. You're gonna do it at the divorce court. the best thing I've learned to be quiet and listen,
Okay.
and then address.
And then address.
See, because if somebody says something and you react, so quick, you may react the wrong way without listening to the intent or the reason why it comes out that way. There are stressful situations that every marriage has, but it takes the person, either the man or the woman, taking time to ingest what's said and respond, and that way you can respond to any situation, issue, a terrible issue, a happy issue, or listening to somebody wrote a book called Love Languages.
Love languages, right.
You have to learn your wife's love language, because sometimes she can say something and mean one thing, and you take it as meaning this thing, and you're not supporting her as far as her feelings, so you're not fanning those flames. But if you listen to the language and how she's talking to you, then you'll know exactly how to address that issue, as opposed to going somewhere else where you're not responding to her at all, and ain't gonna be no fun.
That's my kind of preacher right there. That's my kind of preacher.
It ain't no fun. Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Charmaine, you had something you wanted to...
No, I was just gonna say
Okay.
he's saying all good things.
Okay.
I mean, the men definitely need to hear that and take heed.
Definitely. Well, listen, you're getting some free marriage counseling. You're getting some free single counseling. You're going out, you're saved, you're single, and you're seeking. We have had a blast on this segment of Plugged In with your host, Lewis Johnson. I want to say thank you to Ms. Charlotte Mitchell, and thank you to Mr. Chris Daniele for joining me on this relationship segment. After this video, we're going to come back. Have you ever been at a place, a crossroad, where you said enough is enough? Coming to the show is Bishop S. Janine Hyman, and we're going to talk about enough is enough. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
God bless you.
In me. You're back with me, your host, Lewis Johnson, on Plug, and I'm excited that you're here joining us today. On the set, we have Bishop S. Janine Hyman. She has written a profound book, a very inspirational book, Enough is Enough. Maybe you're at a crossroad. Maybe you're at a place where you're asking yourself and telling yourself right now, enough is enough. I'm frustrated. I'm irritated. I need God to move my life. I need a word. I need something to change. Well, guess what? You've plugged into the right place at the right time. Welcome, Bishop.
Thank you, sir.
So happy that you are here with us. So give us just a little overview of your book, Enough is Enough, for all the viewers here today.
I actually got the idea for this book sitting on the beach.
Okay.
And I was at the beach because I had had enough.
Okay.
Had just finished school again.
Okay.
Just finished a PhD. Had just accomplished some other things and was still feeling frustrated and unfulfilled.
Okay.
And so I just took a hiatus and I sat on the beach and I said, God, I'm not leaving until you talk to me.
Okay.
And I had been prophesied to by Dr. Miles Monroe probably 10 years ago that I had 10 books to write.
Wow, 10 books to write.
10 books to
And
write.
this is number...
This was the fourth one that I started on.
Wow.
Had finished nothing.
Wow.
And so as I began to ask the Lord, okay, what do I need to be doing? The Lord impressed upon me. He said, you're a woman of principle. I put that in you. I raised you that way.
Right.
And he said, my people are frustrated just like you are because they're violating principles. And I put these laws in the earth to govern the earth. And if they would embrace these laws and govern these laws, their life will literally shift in 90 to 120 days.
Wow. In 90 to 120 days, my life
Shift
will
your life.
totally turn into a whole new direction if I put these principles.
It will literally begin to turn. It takes about 90 to 120 days to embrace the principles and actually practice them.
Awesome.
And so the book is written in 3 segments.
Okay.
The first segment has my personal testimony that we talked about, my frustrations, and it also is an admonishment to embrace the idea of change. Change is inevitable. So if we resist change, we usually end up frustrated, stagnated, or dead.
Oh my goodness.
If we embrace change, we get through seasons of difficulty much quicker.
Oh my goodness.
The second phase actually deals with the principles, the laws that God puts in the universe to govern the universe. And those laws are unchangeable, irrespective of gender, color, class. People who embrace those laws get the blessing. People who violate those laws get the cursing. And so we literally map out 8 of those laws for you. The last segment of the book has affirmations that you can speak over yourself. There's a prayer also, in the back. And what I am told by many people is that as they say that prayer aloud for 30, 40, 50 days, they are actually seeing their own mindset change.
Wow, that's powerful. And we need more books like this to kind of help us along the way. So you alluded to the cost of change. That change is very powerful, is very effective. Stagnation. Can you kind of talk to us a little bit more about the expense of progress or the cost of progress that you alluded to in your book? What is the context of the statement that you're making in your book?
Well, the context is this, and enough is enough is a kind of a synergy between the sacred and the scientific.
Okay.
So you're going to get the biblical, the spiritual, and the scientific. It's kind of like this law of physics: a body at rest stays at rest.
Right.
A body in motion stays in motion. Most of us like to be at rest. We don't like change, so we become sedentary. Many times we don't like change because of fear-based perceptions that are distorted. So it's the fear of change, or what we think change will cost us to do it. Therefore, if we think we don't have the mental reserves, the money, the support, whatever we need to change, we just won't.
That's powerful. Fear-based perception.
Right.
It's a perception based on fear.
Yeah, and
That's
that,
powerful.
that fear is based usually off of misinformation.
Wow.
Or past experiences, negative past experiences.
Wow.
So, for instance, most of us know we need to lose weight.
Okay.
That's a given.
Okay.
Most of us know we need to lose weight. Well, the cost of change means we have to change our diet. That's more money. We have to change our routine. We have to be without the things that we like to eat. And the doctor could tell us, if you don't lose the weight, you're going to die.
So no cheesecake.
Yeah, fear. And so, he'll say, if you don't exercise, you're going to die.
Right.
So most of us would rather not take 20, 30 minutes a day to exercise, or 30 minutes a day to prepare our food. We would rather skip the 60 minutes and lose 6 years off of our lives.
Wow.
That's how difficult change is when we perceive that it's going to cost us more than we're willing to pay.
Wow.
But what we find out is the cost of stagnation, or the refusal to change, will cost you more
Wow.
than change will ever cost you, and it will cost you more than you will live long enough to pay.
Wow. So if I don't take the cost and pay for change, I'm going to pay for it in a way that I really don't want to pay for it.
Absolutely.
So it costs me more in the long run.
It's going to cost you more. It's just like investing. It's going to cost you more in the long run. If you pay now, you reap later. You don't pay now, you'll be impoverished later.
Wow.
It's a law.
It's a law.
It's a
This
law.
is some profound conversation. I am here with Bishop S. Janine Hyman, the author of the book, Enough is Enough. So Bishop, you mentioned the fear of failure in your book, and you talked about the fear of success as well. So kind of give us a little more insight into that.
Well, this is pulls on my work as a psychologist, but the root of this comes from black mother wit. And I was having a philosophical conversation with my mother, as I so often do. And my mother said, "Child, why ain't you soaring? All of that the Lord is giving, you know how black mamas talk.
Right.
You ought to be just taking off,
Right,
you know."
right.
And I said, "But I think it's Richmond." She said, "No, it ain't Richmond. This is you." And I said, "Well, maybe I have a fear of failure."
Wow.
And she said, "You have too much self-confidence for that.
Interesting.
Your self-esteem is intact. What you fear is success." And it hit me like a ton of bricks.
Wow.
And I had this aha moment. And I began to just kind of try to find the difference between the fear of failure and the fear of success. And they come from the same root.
Wow.
It says that I don't deserve to be that great.
Wow.
Or there's a fear that if I succeed, I'm going to lose relationships, I'm going to get persecuted. If I obtain a certain level of wealth, people will like me for what I have. It's just all of these fears, mostly that people are going to shift, or that when we get to that place, something about us is going to make us fail after we get there, and everybody will know that we're not a success. And so this is what sabotages many great people, many great minds, is their fear of success. Who are they if they are not here, but they're here? They got to learn themselves in a whole new realm.
Wow.
And so there's a fear there that
There's a fear.
sabotages us.
It sabotages. I can actually be fearful of success as well as be fearful of failure.
Absolutely.
Powerful, powerful, powerful.
Absolutely.
Powerful.
Some of the symptoms of fear of success, one of the major ones is procrastination.
Oh my goodness, talk about that.
Because what procrastinators do, there's a fear or a dread of attacking something that they feel incompetent to attack. Or that if they do things in a timely manner, their whole life is literally going to shift 90 to 120 days. So people are not ready to do that shift. So they will wait to the last minute. Case in point, particularly for African Americans, many of us are brilliant, but our grades in school never reflected the brilliance because we will wait to the last minute and still pull it off.
Still pull it off.
We will, we may get B's and C's, but we're really A+ material.
Right.
So we wait to the last minute so we cannot succeed. And so that's one of the major things is procrastination. And another is your circle of influence, who you're around. If the people that you're around primarily are at the same level as you or always just slightly under you, it is because that's a fear of success.
Wow.
So you become like the 5 people you hang around the most,
Wow.
literally.
So it's good to have somebody who's at another level
Absolutely.
above me
Absolutely.
that I hang around sometimes, as opposed to just people that have not reached my level of success yet.
Right. Or the playing field is even.
Okay.
You're still not gonna.
Well, the playing field is even.
Absolutely. So
Okay.
you literally become like the 5 people you hang around the most. So we have to watch our circle of influence. That's an indicator of fear of success.
Who are the 5 people that you hang around the most? Ask yourself that question. Is it a level playing field, or are you around somebody who's at another level of success that you are trying to attain? Powerful conversation. We're going to cut away to a video. Don't leave. Get some more popcorn. We'll be right back on Plugged In. My guest, Bishop S. Janine Hyman, and we're talking about her book, Enough is Enough. Have you ever been at a place where you've gone to work and you've just been frustrated with going to work? Have you been at a place where you come home from work and you're just frustrated about what's going on in the house when you get home? Have you ever been to a place where you've been to church and you've like, you know what, something is just not right? Have you ever asked yourself, enough is enough? Well, Bishop Hyman is going to help us today. She's going to help us through a situation such as that. So if somebody right now is at a place, they're at a crossroad. They're at a point in their life where they're just fed up. They're really not having a good experience with life. And so they're at a place where they're asking God, what's next? Why? And they're fed up with life. What would you say to them? Somebody's at the point of suicide, or somebody's at the point of throwing in the towel. How would you direct them in that type of situation?
Well, it's been my experience that whenever we have those feelings of depression, helplessness, hopelessness, it is almost always attached to a frustration that has to do with lack of fulfillment of purpose.
Wow.
Almost always.
Wow.
I contend that the majority of us who are underachievers, which is a sign of fear of success, is because we are not focused on purpose.
Wow.
And we have not maybe even tapped into what we are created to do. I have moved from what I'm called to do, and this is 30 years of ministry and experiences that are very painstaking. I've moved now from what I'm called to do to what I'm created to do.
Wow.
And
Wow.
everything that God has spoken and said out of his mouth that exists in this material world came because God had a thought, an intention, and a purpose for it.
Yes.
You have purpose. You are the intention of God.
Wow.
And we must begin to redirect our attention from what is painful to what is purposeful.
Oh my goodness.
The more we focus on pain, the greater the pain gets.
Wow.
The more we
Wow.
focus on purpose, we tend to forget that we're hurting like we are.
That is profound.
So
The more I worry about my pain, the more the pain hurts.
Yes, sir. I'm
But the
telling
more
you what
I
I
focus
know.
on my purpose, I don't even feel the pain anymore.
The pain begins to lessen because a lot of the pain simply has to do with injustices that we've encountered because people don't know who we are.
Wow.
People don't know who we are because we don't exude positivity and purpose. And that's a painstaking process. Many people do not want to pay the cost of change because they're going to get hateration
Interesting.
from a lot of people. They're going to get a lot of friction.
Right.
So
Right.
what I do is now I'm beginning to journal. I'm beginning to write what I feel. One of my strong points is my honesty with myself.
That's powerful.
And my honesty with God.
powerful.
If I don't like it, I say, God, I don't like it. This stinks. I'm not feeling this. I'm not feeling you right now. I don't.
Wow.
What is this? What is this? And the more we inquire of the Lord, the Lord will begin to. And we just, as we jot those things down, you have to find what your purpose to do. What is your passion? What makes you angry? What is the thing that makes you put your feet on the floor in the morning and say, I could go another day?
Wow.
Whose battle are you willing to fight? What is it that you would do that if money was no object at all, you would just do it? When you begin to tap into those kinds of things, you will find that you are greater than you ever thought. There's no way God, a great God, an excellent God, a powerful God could create something that is not like him. There's no way he can't do it. And so there's greatness inside of you. There is excellence and splendor inside of you. But you got to tap into what's going on inside of you. I put a piece up on Facebook the other day. It drew a lot of attention. Is that we have to pray for the grace, to focus on the grace to go through when God is not answering us.
Yes.
There are days when God is not talking. Seek ye the Lord while he may be found.
Right,
that means that there are days that he's
Come
not
on.
found.
That's good.
Call upon him while he is near.
That's
that
good.
means that days that he is not near, that he does not answer.
Wow.
And so we have to begin to focus on the grace that is given to you, so that if you focus on the grace given to you to endure it, to embrace the change, the thorn won't feel as bad. God can use us with the thorn in us,
With the thorn in us.
but we must focus on the grace that has been assigned to our purpose.
That is profound. I hope that you are listening to this. This is Bishop S. Janine Hyman, author of the book, Enough is Enough. You said something that was critically profound. You could be doing something that you are called to do, but not doing something that you've been created to do.
There is a difference.
There's a difference in
because
that.
callings change.
Right.
I mean, today the Lord needs you to do this. Tomorrow he may need you over here, Abraham. He may tell you to go to Tarshish, Paul. So those things shift with times and seasons. But what you were created to do never changes. It is the thing that God spoke out of his mouth that brought you out of eternity into time. That never changes. So if we could tap into what we're created to do and pay the cost of change, because people are going to try to make you into what they need you to be. They're going to try to craft you themselves when God has already crafted you. You're fearfully and wonderfully made. If you're willing to pay the cost to be you.
Wow. Don't give up.
You will never go without.
Don't give up. Enough is enough. So tell the viewers how they can obtain this precious gem.
Well, you can email me directly at bishop.sjh@gmail.com. It's bishop.sjh@gmail.com. Or you may go to amazon.com and order, or exlibris.com and order directly from them.
Awesome.
$17.95. This is a life changer.
It sounds like it's going to just totally change my life. 90 to 120 days.
Yes.
We're going to give it.
And it took me 30 years to be able to write it.
30 years worth of information.
Absolutely.
It's going to change your life.
And having to get over the fear of success.
Oh, my God.
To actually get the book out.
You want to get a copy of this book today. Bishop, thank you so much for being on the show with me.
Thank you, sir. It's my pleasure.
You've been here with me on Plugged In. I'm your host, Lewis Johnson. You can write me as well. I'm at pluggedin7@gmail.com. That's pluggedin7@gmail.com. If you want to talk about something, you have a subject you want to talk about, email me. Hey, let's talk about it. Let's join in the kingdom conversation. You can also call me at 1-888-694-5222. That number again is 1-888-694-5222. If you want to write me, if you want to go with the U.S. Postal System, you can do that as well. I'm at P.O. Box 1891, Chesterfield, Virginia, 23832. That's P.O. Box 1891, Chesterfield, Virginia, 23832. You've joined me on Plugged In. I pray that you have received something today from the relationship segment with Charvette Mitchell and Chris Daniely. I pray that you received something from Bishop Hyman, that enough is certainly enough.
Enough is enough.
Hey, we're going to be back on this TV station, wherever you are in the city of Richmond. Don't forget about us. We're here for you. Plugged In. I'm your host, Lewis Johnson. I want to appreciate you for joining me today. We'll be back with more Plugged In. Later date, hey, but we still got something for you. God bless you.